How will my child learn to get along in the world if he or she does not go to school? Oh my gosh. Really? They're not feral children raised in the bush. They are homeschooled, and if one homeschools, I'd like to think that they're not homeschooling because they want to keep their kids kind of in captivity, I guess, away from other kids. I'd like to think that they're doing it for their best interest. So with that said, their best interest usually means that they're engaged in things outside the home as well. Hi guys, it's Sarah from the Thezebratribe, and today I wanted to do a quick little tag kind of video on homeschooling, and it's basically some frequently asked questions or questions that people generally ask homeschoolers, and I figured it would be kind of nice to talk about it because I haven't really done anything much on that subject of homeschooling other than you guys seeing the kids do a little bit of work and stuff here and there in our vlogs. So I'm just going to jump right in. So one of the questions that I decided to answer is, what exactly is homeschooling? What do you do all day? Well, the cool thing about homeschooling is teaching your kids, educating your kids at home, not sending them to school, educating them at home because you're capable or you're able to. What do you do all day? We have our scheduled time where we do our work, where we do our sit-down work. That's very important to us. Therefore, it's important to me for my kids to actually do sit-down work. We do sit-down work consistently. I would say maybe 98% of the time. That's a pretty high percentage, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's like around that. And then we have our off days, kind of like today. Today I was going to film a little bit, so we kind of had our day off. Not a day off, but we had our day kind of rearranged where they are still doing work and they have still done work, but we kind of rotate the schedules just so I can do this little video. Throughout the day they do their work, and after that then they kind of have pretty much just like free time. However, I do like to maintain I don't know, like I want them to have free time, but I do recognize when they're either bored, and if they're bored then, you know, we'll do something together. We play games, they read books, they play their toys, they practice their instruments, and we also have activities in between our schedules. So we're usually busy throughout the day, and there are a series of things that we do. The next question is, why do families choose homeschooling? Well, my husband and I primarily chose homeschooling because we started educating our kids on our own when they were young in age. I see other vloggers doing it, kind of like April and Justin, how they teach Liam, and he's like very advanced for his age. I see the Levine life do it, like how Dee would educate her kids, teaching them various things, you know, ahead. So that's what we did. We were very much not just like those parents that kind of let their kids just play, which is fine. I'm not bashing anyone, but for us, because I was home all day with my child, my very first one anyways, like I had the opportunity to kind of homeschool, to kind of teach her, because I had interest in that, and she started learning rather rapidly, and that kind of fostered the idea of homeschooling. And not to mention, the school system is not the greatest. So with homeschooling, I do get to kind of create the environment that I want for my kids. I create the lifestyle and the surroundings. I know their life isn't going to be perfect. I know I cannot provide them a perfect life, but I'm doing my best to just help kind of create structures and boundaries, and along with educating them to the best of my abilities, just so they can, you know, they can have the best in life. Another question is, how many kids are now being homeschooled? 3. We have 3 children, so they're all being homeschooled. What are some of the benefits of homeschooling? I basically just explained the benefits. Like, you just get to teach your kids not just what's even being taught at school. You get to, if you've got a faith, you get to teach them your faith. We do character study at home, which they don't do at school. We do motivational studies as well, where we study just positive, how to be positive, how to persevere, how to be consistent, just all these kind of positive things that we like to foster in our kids. We go on field trips, not just the same, and you know, overall the best part is just the fact that we get to raise our kids in the way we like to, and just without all the distraction and without all the negativity and things that can occur at school. How will my child learn to get along in the world if he or she does not go to school? Oh my gosh. Wow. Like, the fact that someone even thinks to ask that question is just preposterous to me, because really? They're not feral children raised in the bush. They are homeschooled, and if one homeschools, I'd like to think that they're not homeschooling because they want to keep their kids kind of in captivity, I guess, away from other kids. I'd like to think that they're doing it for their best interest. So with that said, their best interest usually means that they're engaged in things outside the home as well. Tonight our kids are gone for 2 hours to their activities. They have youth night. They usually participate in sports. So they've got a lot of things that they usually do. Tomorrow we have gym and swim, where we go to a big open gym with a lot of other homeschooler friends and also other people who drop in, and then we also go to swimming. So they get to interact and get along and play with other kids. You don't have to go to school for that. There are lots of people back in history who also did not attend school, and they made it. Yeah. What if my child wants to learn something I can't teach? That's a great question. Well, if they want to learn something that I can't teach, then we would find the teacher who can teach it. That's the whole point of being able to go outside the home. We know homeschooling parents who have their kids taking like various things all over the place, and if they have interest, we definitely would like to support that interest. Our daughter has a violin, and since relocating we haven't gone to violin lessons, but that's something that is in the plan. Because it's kind of winter here, we just kind of simmered down a little bit with the activity, but we were in full-fledged doing them all before winter came along, and we're still doing some. We're just not doing as many. Is homeschooling legal? Yes, I wouldn't be doing it if it was illegal. That would be crazy. Like, I'm not trying to get in trouble here. Is homeschooling expensive? Yes, homeschooling can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. I am pretty structured, kind of like the school. I know a lot of homeschoolers don't necessarily do that, but I do work from formal books that teachers do use, and I do shop at basically the teacher resource store. So my children do use homeschooling books that are very specific to their age group. However, this year I've kind of implemented a little bit more of a strategy where I photocopy things, just that way we save a little bit. So I find that we're not running all over the place to just buy resources all the time anymore. And also we've gone to the secondhand store where we've came across some very, very, very key books that are essential to learning the core basics of all the main subjects: math, science, English, history. And it's just amazing that you can find these kind of resources in secondhand stores. So yeah, that's pretty darn awesome, and it's also cut down on some of the costs that are there. I feel like in homeschooling, one of the main things that we spend a lot of money on are books, and a lot of them are actually books for pleasure to read. So it's not necessarily just resources, but we have a ton of resources. We bought so much in the beginning that I feel like we don't always have to buy as much now. Now we're as you live, you learn. So we're a little bit smarter in knowing what to purchase and what not to. How do I know which materials and resources to use? Yeah, that's basically trial and error. You do what works for you. In the beginning, you may have some resources and materials that you're using and you're just thinking, oh, this isn't working out. Like I, myself, who's teaching it, I don't quite get this, or I don't understand this, or I don't know how to best teach it. Or you may see that your child is actually kind of struggling with understanding the material, or maybe the layout is not as good, or just whatever it is. As you're doing it, you may come into contact with things that you just don't like about the book or about the resource. So some of it is trial and error. Do research. Research is also good, but then again, with anything, you hear pros and you hear cons, and then you never know what to choose as a result of just other people's opinions. So like I said, it's still going to be trial and error. When you buy a book, it's up to you, and if you don't like it, I always try to stick through working through the unit, because you don't want to just waste your money. But upon the next either year or semester, you have that opportunity to kind of try something else. And that's the whole point. You're at home, it's homeschooling, so you have more of an opportunity to kind of just experiment a bit with stuff, as long as they're learning what they're supposed to. Also, back to that question about it being expensive, one can also look to find secondhand books, because a lot of homeschoolers do I don't know if it's called upcycle or recycle their their resources as their children grow out of it. I haven't even formally utilized that resource as much, but I do know it's available. I know that it's there. What about higher education? Higher education is very important to us. Obviously, my husband is an engineer and he went to school for 7 years. I'm studying my degree in psychology and I'm actually thinking of pursuing my master's. Yeah, I'm 2 credits away from being done, and then I'm actually thinking of pursuing my master's. So higher education is very important to us. That's a huge part of why I myself even returned after having my kids, because I want to set that example. With homeschooling, you have that opportunity to teach your kids and teach them all that they need to know. But on top of that, you get to teach them enrichment. Given that my husband is an engineer, he's very familiar with all the required maths and science, and those are the essential key to like anything you want to be in today's day and age. So he actually teaches them enrichment. He does a lot of experiments with them. He does a lot of advanced math with them, and that's important to us. And as they get to high school age, and we will focus more on providing them the curriculum and the foundation that they need. But we've already began that. That's a huge part of our process. Like I said, we're not unschooling by any means, and we've definitely been working towards their future, because that's the whole point behind all of this for us. Okay, and so this is going to be my final question. Someone says, I love the idea of homeschooling, but my spouse, parents, and other relatives, friends are skeptical about the idea. What can I do? And that's a tough one, because all I can do is like, if you are in the position where you're able to do it, because like I said, homeschooling it can also put a strain on your family if you're not, if they're not supportive, and financially. So if you are financially okay with taking that on and you're able to do it, then that's a huge plus. That's out of the way. I can only imagine if it was a financial struggle and I was homeschooling, that would be very, very hard. I don't know if I would be able to do it. So if you're able to do that, then that's okay. But with regards to the rest, it's a matter of convincing them that let you feel that you could do a better job than what you feel they're getting where they're getting, because you want to be able to, that's the whole point. You want to feel that you are able to provide them at least what they're getting at school. You keep in mind that a lot of people who are teaching your kids are not even, I don't want to bash teachers, because there's some great teachers out there. I had a few in school, but there are also a lot of them that were not that great. With teachers, a lot of teachers these days, they go to school and get their undergrad, and then they come out, and a lot of them don't even know what to do. And then that's one of the biggest things that everyone just kind of runs to. You come out and you're like, oh, well, my degree's not doing much, well, I can't do much, and oh, okay, well, I'll just go to teachers college. So there are a lot of people who are in teachers college, and it's not, they don't even necessarily like kids. B, they don't even have the characteristics that I would probably want in a person to teach my kids. And it's not even that a lot of them are even smart. Because you can come out with an average of whatever, and so be it. You go to teachers college. I go to school for anything, and I can go to teachers college. Well, that says a lot, because I'm going there, say, to teach English, but I studied psychology. I'm going there to teach science. Well, especially in the younger grades, but I took an arts program. So you just kind of get the gist of things. They don't know everything. And so with you as a parent, if you are willing to take on that role of teaching your kids, you want to be willing to learn along the way, be willing to do your research as you're teaching your kids, be willing to put in the work required to teach them, to, go educate them properly so they do know, they are familiar with the things that they do need to know for their age, their required age group. And yeah, there's just that they're up to pace, but it takes a lot of effort. In that case, like, as long as you're not I don't want to say as long as you're not unschooling, because I don't know the fundamentals of unschooling, but I feel like if you were unschooling, that would take a lot more convincing. But for this situation, I feel like you just gotta let them know how serious you really are. Think about the reasons why you want to homeschool your child, and if it's for the betterment of them, then the people around you should understand where you're coming from, being that you're the mom. or the dad, whoever you are. It's super hard not having support. That would be a tough one. I've been very lucky and very fortunate to have had the support that I've had. It makes it that much easier. I didn't even think I would be homeschooling this far along. I thought, oh, for sure they would be in school, because I was very nervous as they're getting to the age where things are not, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I don't know? Or what if, there's that nerve-wracking feeling in a sense that doesn't always go away. I don't think it ever fully goes away, but just as you progress and as the years go by and homeschooling gets a little bit easier and you find better resources and you find better support groups and all of those great things, it does make things that much easier, and it builds a level of confidence in that you feel within yourself that you can teach your kids, you can educate them, you can do what the others can't do, and whatever you don't know how to do, seek help from the outside, from outside resources. The internet is your friend as long as it's utilized in the right way, of course. There are a lot of people who would bash it because there's so many junk on there, but there are so many good resources. Thank God for good people who are willing to share their experience, are willing to share the things they learn, and just willing to just help, put help out there. It's kind of like what this video is supposed to be. Not only answer your question, but if you are someone who is thinking of homeschooling, to just provide that kind of help in a sense, even if I answered one question for you, or to build your confidence a little bit, just based on my experience, or anything that I've said. I just feel like the video is worthwhile. So I hope this answered any questions for you guys. I hope you guys found this video interesting. If you want to see any more videos like this on my channel, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and give it a big thumbs up, because that will let me know. Thank you guys so